Well, hi there. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I am Erin.
I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
Ladies, it is so good to see you. It's so good to be doing this journey with you. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
2 thumbs up.
Doing good.
We need to, because Tracy left this comment for us in the Real WW Talk Facebook group. And by the way, you are welcome to join in with us. Just go to Facebook and search Real WW Talk. But Tracy noticed for the past couple of weeks, she says, I've been listening each week for as long as you've been doing them. And I feel like you're my family. And I thank you for that. We love you, Tracy, for that. I've noticed a bit of a change. I was wondering why you don't ask one another how your week went. I missed that. And I love that she picked that up. So just one of the things that we noticed for ourselves is we love the book Atomic Habits, and it talks about making that 1% change. And the problem, it's not a problem, but when you do the same thing like week after week, even though it's a 1% change, it's just a 1% difference, which can start to sound the same week after week. And so we realize we sound like we're saying the same thing over and over again. And so we're just going to give it a little bit of space. Plus, Candice has been working through her cancer journey and her radiation, and she is, yay, all done that part of it.
Done completely. Hallelujah.
Completely. So, and so it was like each week would be like, Candice is doing radiation. Candice is doing radiation. Candice is doing radiation. So that's the only reason why we just realized, like, you know what, we'll give it a little bit of time so we can come back with, greater things to share with everybody. So
yeah, I think it also gives us more time to talk about, the meat of what we want to talk about, because we can get we love to just chat about ourselves. So we're like, it's been 20 minutes of talking about our week. We have nothing else to talk about.
We're like, we actually need to talk about something here. So with that said, I thought let's just honor Tracy and let's see how each other's week's been.
So we appreciate you, Tracy. I'm glad that you care.
Yes, thanks for asking.
Yes. All right, so Candice, kick us off. Who wants to go first?
Lord, I mean, it's been a while. So why don't we just start? Erin, you go first, because in my screen, this goes here, here, here. So Erin, you go first. How was your week?
My week has been great. I've had a lot of, I know I've got a lot of stress. I always have stress. So let's just start. That's the baseline for me. Right. Mm-hmm. And it is always a continuous thing of how do I maintain, some big things and still stay on progress. And so I did that, and I've been feeling really proud of myself for it. I am keeping my water bottle next to me because I let out my, or I should say I relaxed my values on getting water, and it has made a really big difference that I keep this bad boy with me. And because I've mostly been drinking tea, I'm drinking a lot of hot tea, which is great, but I can feel the difference between when I'm drinking the cups of tea and when I'm drinking my actual water out of my water bottle. So we talked about Plant Nanny a little bit ago, and I re-downloaded the Plant Nanny app. So I got a plant growing, and in the middle of winter in Baltimore is not exactly the warmest place, and the weather has just been really wonky. And I've been doing the treadmill workout. Have you seen like the TikTok treadmill workout? It's where you walk at an incline of 12 at a speed of 3 for 30 minutes. Now, my basement has 7-foot ceilings, and I'm 6 feet tall. So when I walk at an incline of 12, I got to pop a ceiling tile. That's not a doable incline for me. But I've been walking at a 6, and that's been aggressive. It's no joke. And so, but it's felt really good. It's almost mimicking walking outdoor up a hill. And I love it. So
if I had a treadmill, I would try that.
Yeah.
I don't need one more thing in my basement. That sounds, other than getting outside, that sounds like something I'd like to try.
Yeah. It's been good. And I've also been trying to incorporate more protein. I think I may have told you ladies this, but I have been double tracking alongside my WW app, and just curious to see how do calories shake out? How does my protein, how does my nutrition shake out? And it's been a little eye-opening for me in a not great way. And so it's helped me to really focus more on the nutrition of what I'm eating versus just the points of what I'm eating. And I downloaded this app. It's called, I'm pulling up on my phone, Chronometer. You can see the little icon right there. And it's CRONOMETER. It's a free app, and they have paid options inside. But it's really neat because you can actually see protein, all the vitamins, all the nutrition that you're getting from what you're eating. And it's letting you know how much, are you getting from your food? So
how does it change? How does it vary from like MyFitnessPal? Like, I mean, I'm familiar with that one. That's the only reason.
It's been a while since I've used MyFitnessPal, but I don't remember it having all of the nutritional value. I
Got it.
believe that it has the macros, and this is the macros as well, but I don't remember seeing a nutrition panel for it. But again, it's been a while since I've done MyFitnessPal.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
So
good.
there's my week. That's what's happening. All right, Candice, who's next?
Rikki.
All right. It's been a busy few weeks. I feel like I'm just all over the place. I did have my college roommates in town. The reunion we were supposed to have in May of 2020 obviously didn't happen. But we were able to do that this weekend and celebrate during the long weekend. So I was all over town, out and about, really long days. And needless to say, we ate out a lot. So that was my challenge, was balancing having friends in town. And, the thing is, we're all older. We at one point were passing Tums around the table. Like all four of us were like, hey, you need, I need one too. And it's not like we were eating crazy amounts of fried food. If a couple of girls had a couple of drinks, I can only have one at a time. So, and we were in bed, I think, before midnight all of the days. It was just a different kind of a trip.
The age doesn't matter. They're like, look, those years, it makes you party a little different than you did in college.
Passing shots or passing Tums.
Passing Tums.
No.
Yeah.
Plus, you also had a birthday this week, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
You had a birthday.
It aligned really well with President's Day. That's a nice thing. My birthday falls on the 23rd. So, they came into town. It was nice to kind of pre-celebrate with them and then, do that. So it's been a lot of eating out, and I am excited to get back to my routine. I'm excited to start getting up early again and doing the workout. I'm excited to focus, like you, Erin, on the water again. It's not that I wanted to make those choices and say, oh, I want to eat out all the time. I actually was kind of like over it at a certain point, but it was kind of, a choice that we made just because we were all over town. But, there were some things I chose to do that I think helped. Like I kept water in the back of the car and I made sure I took it with me, wherever I went. And I don't think that's a choice I would have made before. And, watching my portions, I may have had food out, but I really focused on stopping when I was full, and taking leftovers home because, my friends are out of town. They couldn't necessarily do that, but I am in my hometown, so I can take leftovers. I could leave things on the table if I wanted to too. That's okay. So
I would have said, look, if you're going to leave that behind, could you at least order this? Because that way I'll eat that later.
I was going to say, I'd be like,
do me a salad.
Talking like a true Weight Watcher, a true foodie is like, you want to make sure you order that too, because I can take that and put that in my fridge.
Uh-huh.
Candice, how about you? How are you doing?
Well, now that I am finished with active treatment, hallelujah, Woo-hoo! It's been a whole year of craziness, but I am on the other side. So I actually am very proud of the fact that I finished up something on Peloton called, it's a power zone training. I've talked about this a little bit before, but it's a way where you're growing from your baseline. You do an assessment at the beginning of like a 5-week course of your stamina and your strength on the bike. And then it guides you through the program to build that over time. And I did that. I started that when I started radiation. And usually radiation is supposed to really make you very tired, but I'm happy to say that not only did I finish the power zone training, but I increased my stamina by like 27 points, which is they were like, oh, your baseline is now increased to this. So I am super, super stoked that I was able to maintain my fitness and even increase my stamina during a time where my body was under a lot of challenge because I had, some of the side effects from radiation, tiredness, burns, all that stuff. But I'm very proud of myself, not only for finishing treatment, but for focusing on the exercise and doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think Candice too, just thinking about, from where you started and to where you are now, and just even hearing like the different level of of the positivity, if you will, but like you literally just said, burns from radiation.
Yeah.
Right. But it wasn't like we're focused on the burns, which I would probably be a little more hyper focused on letting people know that I'm burned.
Yeah,
Right.
I certainly was on the bike with no shirt on. I was like, I'm glad that this is not something that real WW Talk people will see, because this is not pretty. But I got to get this done, and this shirt on this burn does not feel good, but I'm going to get on the bike.
You made it work. No excuses. I mean, that is the ultimate no excuses. Like, that makes me waking up and saying I'm tired, I don't want to get out of bed to do a bike ride sound like a horrible excuse, because you got out of bed with burns.
I'm over here like the crypt keeper.
No shirt on, burn.
You got it done.
My friend was like, "You're just really proud of your new boobs, so that's why you did it without it." And I said, "No, ma'am, I really cannot have this on." I said, but it was something, it gave me something else to focus on, outside of just treatment.
Yeah.
And I think that was important for me. So,
all of our conversation, though, I think kind of plays into the thing that we were going to talk about today, and that's creating a supportive environment.
Yeah.
And how important having a supportive environment is as you're doing any type of journey, WW journey, or, Candice, what you've been walking through with breast cancer. And it makes the difference being able to have people who support you. But what if you don't have people to support you? Like, it makes the journey harder, but it doesn't make the journey impossible.
Yeah, it's just different.
It's just different. And so I thought maybe we could kind of, we could talk through, what does it look like to have support? What's the kind of support maybe that we individually have decided that we needed for our journey? And then maybe even advocating for support, and maybe looking for some ways to create that we need to be able to succeed.
Yeah. I'll tell you, for me, the support was just so important to me for the past year for the cancer journey, and also something with WW that I've discovered over time. And the hard part for me is always asking for help. I brought that up to you all at the beginning of this journey. When people say, "I'm here for you," or "How can I help?" I'm usually the one who'll say, "It's okay. I'm good. I don't need any help. I don't need any assistance." And life made that not possible. So part of support for me, I do have my husband, but I also have a toddler, and he's very demanding because he's 2.5. So me being able to get rest and to get on the bike to do those things required help and assistance. So learning how to use my voice to say, even though I could do this, it's not in my best interest. Can you please assist me? And this is how I need the support. Can you do it? Was a very vulnerable thing. And I found that people were able to show up for me. My husband was able to show up, and my friends as well, when I was able to get past my ego and say, be specific about the type of help that I needed.
Yeah.
And with food, I've had problems with that too, because sometimes I might need to say, I can't handle having this food with me, or today I want to make these types of choices. Can we go for a walk instead of going out to eat? As hard as that is, I really need that support. And if you're judging me, because I always assume people are judging me, or they're thinking about, well, why is it that she can't? It doesn't matter. That's what I need. And are you able to accommodate my need?
Yeah.
So those are big learning things for me. It's helped me with my support this year.
I think people think far more of us than we think, than they do, right? Like,
I mean, that's the trick of the devil. You just really think that everyone's like, I cannot believe Candice would sit here and ask me to help with that. And it's like, no, that's probably not true. Most people just say yes. Have you all, do you all ever feel that way?
All the time.
Okay. I think I'm not crazy.
I think that's a trick of the devil, if you want to know the truth, to keep us from reaching out and asking people for help, asking for support. And most people are really happy to help, right? Or if it's a particular area that they're gifted in, it's like flowers. If somebody comes to me and asks for my opinion on something, and I'm like, what? Hold up. Yes. Erin, could you help me meal prep this week? Can you show me a recipe? Yes. Yes.
Erin, can you bring over your chocolate dish? I just need
Yes. I mean, for sure. How does Candice, you got a little bit of a different situation than Rikki and I do when it comes to a very big bit, being married. Like to me, that actually having David could either be a hindrance or a help.
Yeah.
Have there ever been instances, or maybe like I'm prying too much on that one, where David was a hindrance to you and you had to, like, how did you advocate for needs? Like, I'm thinking back into cupcake days, like if he would come back with a tray of cupcakes or something.
Yeah, I think it still also came down to the root of me not being vocal about what I needed, because sometimes, the biggest thing I think that would be the difference, and for those who are married or partnered, you may have a spouse who's doing a different plan than you, or who has a different way of eating. And the things that he was making didn't fit into my point structure because he wasn't counting points. But because I wasn't being vocal about what I needed, he didn't know that I needed the adjustment.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a challenge, in that the hindrance wasn't from his wanting to be, it was from me not expressing. Again. And I really was wondering why I was doing that. But I think that sometimes I felt to keep the peace. It was just easier to go with the flow and to say, oh, well, thank you, or this. I don't want you to feel like I'm not appreciative of the fact that you made dinner, or appreciative that you brought me these things. But it still didn't get me what I needed. So when I found myself being able to say, hey, I do appreciate this, but this is kind of what I need because this is a trigger for me, it was very easy for him to say, oh, okay, that's fine. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
What you said, Erin, he's more than willing to assist. He just didn't know. And so I'm blessed in the fact that for my partner, for my husband, it was just lack of knowledge. That was the challenge. And it still went back to me thinking that I was this big burden for needing an adjustment to be made, when it just wasn't. So that's what I would say for me. But I think that sometimes if you do have a partner or a person who's not supportive, I've heard that brought up in like the WW meetings, where someone will say, my spouse is like, you're not going to do that low calorie stuff, are you? You're not going to be making those vegetables. I think that can be really tough. I can understand how that can be. And you just have to be kind of resolute about what you need. I'm not an expert on it, but I can understand how that can be tough.
I've seen that in meetings over time where
sorry, I feel like I've had something crawling on my scalp, and that was pretty much a bug that I just. Sorry, if you're on the podcast, you're like, "What was that outburst?" It's just me being slightly dramatic because
like,
there was
here.
There's like, have you seen me? Like, I'm like, something is happening over here, and it was a ding dang fly that was caught in my curls.
You were certainly better than me, because that would have been the end of the podcast. I would have been upstairs on the ground rolling around.
Let me tell you, I almost just said, guys, I need to step out for 2 seconds. But this is live. This is real time. This is what's happening.
I was waiting for Rikki to go into teacher mode and be like, Erin, tell me a little bit about what's going on.
What do you need?
Erin, do you need some assistance? Talk about it.
I need so much help right now. You have no idea. Okay. I'm so sorry for this bug that interrupted us, man.
That's okay. Rikki, you were saying that you understand. You've seen
how people. I mean, I've heard how people will say that they've even made separate meals for different family members. Like, oh, I'll make this for my husband and this for my children and this. And then there are people who are on the other side of it, where I'm making this and everybody's going to eat it, or you don't eat, or you make your own food, or, So I think it's got to be a challenge and a balance to be in a household where you have those different personalities, and, you probably want to try and please people, but at the same time, you want to make your life easier instead of harder if you are the one who's preparing the food. But, on the side of the single person, and, my situation, I don't have a roommate or anyone. So like, I think the challenge can be the visibility that comes, or, I hate to say the invisibility, but like not having someone see what you bring in the house and notice, oh, there was a whole pack of Oreos, and where did they go? Who ate those Oreos? And, I can always daydream about, whenever I have a family, it'll be easier. I won't eat the kids' snack. I won't, but I know that's not the truth. Whatever challenges I have with food right now, I bring into whatever phase of life I have. And that's something I'm learning now. So it shouldn't be about who sees what I have. It should be about me wanting to bring healthy foods into the house, or let's say I do bring Oreos in, maybe I get a little pack of Oreos instead of a big pack if I know that I personally am not going to do well with portioning them out. So that's something I'm learning. I think sometimes you can idolize situations we're not in. And I think that goes for married people too, or, people who have roommates could, say, oh man, it'd be so much easier if I lived alone. I could do X, Y, Z. I could have this freedom. And I think in all of these situations, we have to accept where we are and learn how to make the choices we are proud of in those moments. And that's something that I've learned over time. Because, when I lived at home with my mom, when I had a roommate, we've talked about this before. I know how to bring food in without someone seeing, and I can be sneaky. And, I'll admit I'm a terrible liar. So I would probably have this look on my face where like, what's wrong with you? Like, so what are you hiding? But at the same time, I knew how to package it or put it in my backpack, or I knew how to hide it. Maybe I didn't pull it off. The execution wasn't as good, but like there's ways to, if you're insecure about yourself or what you're doing, to hide, no matter what situation, your living situation or your support situation is. And that's where the internal problem needs to be challenged.
Rikki, what about, I feel like you have you have one of the most difficult jobs, but you also have one of the most difficult job environments, because every teacher I hear always talks about the break room and trying to find a supportive environment with your coworkers in school, knowing that there's going to be all kinds of deliciousness happening in the break room. What does that look like for you?
Well, I think my accountability situation is a little bit different now, but I do have still some people who are aware that I'm trying to make better choices. So historically, I have had a friend who was, would come up to me and say, "Oh, there's stuff in the lounge, but I sneezed on it, so don't eat it." Like in the kindest way, not in a shaming way or anything like that. But after I divulged my intentions, she was the person who was like, I'm going to help you. Like, I'm not going to let you go in that lounge and know, like, it, because a lot of times it is the surprise value. It is the, I'm hungry. It's 10:30. I want a snack. I'm going in the lounge to make copies, but there's also sometimes just miraculously food. I mean, it's like, a desert, and then like a mirage in the desert that just appears out of nowhere. It feels like sometimes. And it's usually, I rarely is there a piece of fruit or a salad or, some asparagus. No, it's candy, it's cake, it's chips, it's muffins, it's cookies, anything you can imagine randomly. And it's from people who have the best intentions. Sometimes it's people who, teachers who have junk in their house and they don't want it in their house and they put it in there. But the other day, it was after Valentine's Day. It wasn't even on Valentine's Day. There were 3 like jumbo sized packets of like soft baked cookies in the lounge, just because from the PTA. And they have the best intentions. Like they want to show us that they care and they appreciate what we do. But I know 90% of us are don't want to eat it, but we end up eating it. So it's a big challenge.
And it made me wonder when you were talking about, and Erin, you kind of alluded to it as well, when somebody, you brought up your friend or your coworker who kind of knew that you were trying to make decisions that were more helpful. Do you ever feel triggered? I know I have, when you've told somebody that this is how you would like to have support. And you're like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing. And then they do it, but you didn't really want them to do it at that point in time because you didn't really want to be stopped. Like 100%. That's what I feel I helped deal with David. And I was thinking about when you said your friend was like, I sneezed on it. I'd be like, this is not the time. Like, I need for you to think about this after, I didn't mean right now. I know I told you to help me, but not right now. So I just had to ask if you all could relate to that. Because sometimes that's why I don't ask for support, because I don't actually want you to stop me.
It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I know I've said that before, but I am a different person when I ask for help than when I want a cookie. Like it's a different person. So I won't necessarily feel hurt. I don't know about you guys. Like I wouldn't feel hurt, but I'm like you said, Candice, I'm like, I don't want you to help me right now. Like, don't you know this is not the time I meant? Like, maybe that cupcake in a week, but like not this cupcake.
Well, it just makes me very, very like actually, Weight Watchers allows cupcakes, and I know that they are 12 points, and even on the new plan, it's 14. And I didn't eat breakfast this morning, so I know what I'm like. You want to justify, and the person's like, "Hey, you told me to say something if you had a cupcake," and I'm like, "Well, I just want to let you know it wasn't this cupcake."
There's nothing off limits.
There's
on
nothing. That's
WW.
when you get real preachy. It actually is not a diet. It is a lifestyle. Okay, I could eat what I want.
And then that's the last time they help you.
And they're like, okay, well, never mind. I'll never help. I'll never say anything ever again.
Be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
What about, again, thinking about creating, there is a lot to create a supportive environment that I would say 90% of it falls to us, right? Just kind of hearing what you're saying, Candice, hearing what you're saying, Rikki, and thinking about the choices that we make in asking for help that creates the supportive environment. Whether we don't have any control over the break rooms, but we do have control in the sense that we could actually contribute something healthier to the break room, like putting in, hey, it's an apple of the week, and for the next couple of weeks, we're going to try a different apple or a different variety, or here's a dipping sauce to go with it. Or, those are things that we could contribute in that situation to help make it a little bit better and make it a little fun, as opposed to we're trying to restrict everybody for something. We're just introducing something new and fun into the mix. But what about, even the WW workshops? Taking advantage of that as a supportive environment. I mean, the three of us are here together because we found support with one another in that environment, but that was on us to get up. At one point, it was 7 a.m. Saturday morning.
We did it, man.
We did it, didn't we?
Now it's 7:30, but it's like, why does 7:30 feel so much more difficult than 7? It's the weirdest thing. I'm like, 7:30? You did 7 a.m. Like
on a Saturday morning.
Yes.
I mean, that's
impressive.
I want to pat myself on the back for that, because that is, for all of us who did that, like that is dedication.
We should totally be a goal. Like, I mean, like that for that alone. Like, but Erin, I want to bring that back and ask you, because, one of the things you've always contributed to, a lot of our discussions are the recipes and different things that you've tried that have helped. And when you do find yourself in those types of situations, whether it be social or even at home, where you're trying to gain support and you may not are looking for it outward and how you're doing it inwardly, what do you think motivates you to figure out, like, because for me, it's the struggle. I always think that it's difficult to cook. Like, I'm always like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. But I don't really want to do that. So have you found that bringing your own dishes or kind of coming up with those different recipes and ways to contribute is something that has kept you on track?
Yeah.
More consistently? And how do you get past that feeling that it's too difficult to do in the moment?
Failing to plan is planning to fail for me. And especially with my different food allergies, that's something that I really miss, is the convenience of food. Food is not convenient for me anyway. I have to plan. If we have a function at work and they're bringing lunch in for everybody, I got to bring lunch in for me, because I'm not part of the plan. Right. And, while it would be absolutely wonderful that there was a special case made for me, there isn't. And that's okay. I can't expect that. So part one is just survival. It's just, if I want to eat, I have to fix it for myself. The other piece of it too is, you get tired of it, and there's nobody that can even turn to necessarily for help on that, because understandably people would be afraid to help me because they're scared to poison me. Right? Right? Like, so, I mean, and I've seen both of you when we've had our things, you both have been so wonderful and like, hey, I want to make something for this. Can you review the ingredients? And that means so much to me, because I see you trying to include me in that. And that, honestly, inclusion means as much, really, really and truly. And so I'm very grateful for that. but I think so part of that for me is just survival. But even when it wasn't survival, it was, how can I maybe lead the way on this? Because if this is something that I want, I can't wait for it to happen. I can hope it will happen. I can wish it'll happen. I can dream it'll happen. But just like my weight, it's not going to go anywhere unless I am proactive in doing this thing. And I discovered for myself that when I was proactive in bringing fruit to something or bringing a healthier muffin or, that actually started to create some change for myself. And it was weird for me to start being known as the healthy person.
You're like,
where I work. Right. They're like, oh, Erin's not going to eat that because it doesn't have nutritional value or something like that. And I'm like, no, but I really want that.
Like I actually do want it, but
and you start to realize, like, you start building a reputation for yourself as this person. And so people then start to see this thing that you're doing and they respond to that and start providing more of those things.
Especially when the food's good. I mean, y'all are missing out. That chocolate thing that she made for our Galentine's, it's like sincerely good. Does not have black beans in it. There's no cauliflower. There's no bean curd. It is like sincere, but she can eat it and we can eat it and it's okay.
Yes.
So you get known for being able to make recipes that are good.
Yeah. And I will tell you what it's called, because you can find there's all kinds of different variations. Everybody's got a recipe for it, but it's the same recipe. All right. It's called a crazy cake, or it's called a Great Depression cake. If you try and search for it as a depression cake, you will instantly get flagged online. Do you need help? So I'm just putting that out there because it's the Great Depression, but it's no eggs. Was it no eggs, no butter, and no milk to make the cake? So just look for a chocolate crazy cake and you mix it all in one pan and bake it, and it's delightful.
You will not be depressed when you eat it.
No, you will not be depressed when you eat it. But thinking about when we got together, right? And now it's kind of become an unspoken rule that whoever is contributing like the main dish, we all bring things that we know would be what we would call WW friendly, and every single dish is WW friendly. But we know we're going to scrimp on our points for the main meal so that we can have this cake afterwards. And we all agree that that this is the dessert that we want. And we will take a temperature. Does somebody feel like they can't eat this cake in freedom right now? And if not, then I will make a completely different dessert, that satisfies a point goal.
Rikki and I will never say that we have not planned for it. We will have the grilled 0-point nuggets and the 2-point salad so that we can have the 15-point cake and we will be fine.
And we did have to count the Chick-fil-A sauce. I mean, but it was all, that was a worth it piece with 0-point nuggets.
Yes. But that's a part of that support system for us, and being able to have that honesty and that vulnerability together with it. So I saw somebody over in the Real WW Talk group who's kind of rejoined WW, and she says, I've come back to Real WW Talk and this has been my support system, but I could really use some real people. I'm going to these things for support, but I need accountability support. And I love that she reached out into the group and said, hey, here's a little bit about me. Would anybody want to be buddies? And I love seeing people jump in. Isn't that the greatest?
Yes.
So, as we wrap up this episode, we would, just in the spirit of being able to create a supportive environment for you. One, the Real WW Talk Facebook group is a wonderful supportive environment. But if you need to take it that step further about accountability support as well, please feel free to post in the group what some of your interests are. And if you're looking for somebody to be, whether a walking partner or a water buddy, or just a plain old WW buddy, or if you're not doing WW and you're counting calories, or, put in who you are and put in what you're looking for. And we're happy to be matchmakers.
Yes. That's some of our other skills you didn't know about. We match people with their.
Listen, it's not working for Rikki and me. Rikki and I are not happening right now, but we'll make it happen for you.
Good one. Way to end it.
Okay. So Real WW Talk. Search for us there on Facebook. We are also on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube and the podcast. No matter where you go, you can find us just searching for Real WW Talk. And that wraps it up for this week.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.